Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. On today's episode, we'll hear from Variety's Marlo Stern on Tuesday's big news for the NBA and for Los Angeles. LeBron James is out of here, leaving the Los Angeles Lakers after 8 seasons that yielded 1 championship crown for King James. Stern is a mega NBA fan, as you will hear, and the perfect person to help break down what it all means. But before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Congrats to France and congrats to Mexico. The World Cup tournament is shifting into a higher gear. When Mexico won its match last night, my neighborhood erupted with fireworks and cheers. Paramount Skydance is making its first public concession regarding its pending purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery. Paramount will end its long-standing international film distribution partnership with Universal Pictures. The UIP partnership has been in existence since 1981, although it has greatly scaled back the number of territories served by that partnership in recent years. Meanwhile, one CNN correspondent is voting with her feet in terms of what she thinks about the merger that has taken on the shorthand of Parabros. Paula Reed, CNN's legal affairs correspondent, has exited the all-news cabler out of concerns about incoming management. This morning, my colleague Brian Steinberg reports that Reed is likely to head off to MS Now. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. Marlo Stern, Variety's chief correspondent, joins me to talk about LeBron James and where the Lakers are without him. Of course, we can't help but juxtapose that against the great story of the New York Knicks this year, which showed the power of an underdog team pulling together for a win that resonated far outside the 5 boroughs. Marlo Stern, thank you so much for joining me to talk about some big news for Los Angeles and all those that watch the goings-on in basketball.
Yes, it's a big day in the NBA. LeBron James, the 41-year-old NBA living legend, is moving on from the Lakers after 8 seasons of sort of mixed results, I would say. I mean,
there's one championship in there, so you got to give him that.
Yes, and you know, some people like to treat the bubble championship with an asterisk. I don't agree with that. I actually think it was extra hard winning that championship in the bubble.
So obviously every year there's been speculation. Will LeBron resign? As somebody who follows basketball very closely, did this news surprise you?
I wasn't surprised that the news came today that LeBron was deciding to leave the Lakers. I think it's convenient that it happened one day after his son, Bronny James, got his contract fully guaranteed by the Lakers to the tune of $2.3 million. With his son's future secured, I think LeBron decided that it was time to move on. And honestly, I think he also looked at the team and the setup and realized that they probably won't win a championship next year. And I think what he really wants more than anything is a 5th NBA title. It's like he wants to basically have more titles than Steph Curry, I think, and be the player of his generation with the most NBA titles. And I think he wants to inch closer to Michael Jordan, who has 6 NBA titles. And so, you know, the constant refrain, right, is who's the GOAT of the NBA? And it's always between Michael Jordan and LeBron. And LeBron is very aware of these conversations and has been asked about them ad nauseum. And so I think winning a 5th title for him is really important.
When he came in 2018, he was definitely feeling there was a bit of a star power void. Kobe Bryant had retired 2 years earlier. The Lakers were betwixt and between. As he leaves now 8 seasons later, it does seem like, once again, they're a little light on star power. The Knicks, which I know you are a lifelong fan, just like I'm a lifelong Lakers fan, you're still on your high, as you and the team well deserve. But Los Angeles is very spoiled. We are used to winning championships and having big, big stars. And it feels like this is going to be a rebuilding moment for the Lakers and maybe some of the front office. What is your sense on that?
Well, first, Knicks in 5. And then, I agree with what you said about the lack of marquee star power. I mean, they have Luka Doncic, who's an incredible player, one of the top 5 players in the NBA. And so now it's going to become the Luka Doncic era. But again, he, as a Slovenian star, there's kind of a little bit of a language barrier there and a cultural barrier. And we know that they've re-signed Austin Reeves to the tune of 4 years and $185 million, which is the biggest contract ever for someone who went undrafted. But, with Luka and Austin, yes, there is a void. There is no Kobe. There is no LeBron on the Lakers. There is no Shaq. There isn't really someone on the Lakers now who you could see segueing into Hollywood the way that LeBron James has, and so many other NBA stars these days. Or even hosting a podcast the way LeBron James has.
What do you think about LeBron's profile among NBA fans and just sort of in pop culture? You referenced his son, Bronny James. It's been a real drama with LeBron James. There's no other way to put it. LeBron has done everything he can with extremely heavy-handedness to get his son situated on the Lakers. And there's just a feeling that you have a big star strong-arming his son, just hell-bent on getting his son onto the team. Do you think has that at all tarnished the LeBron James glow, or is that just me being a cranky Lakers fan?
Sports is supposed to be the one thing that's a meritocracy. It's supposed to be through skill and talent alone that you rise to such great heights. And I think, while I don't think it tarnishes his legacy as a Laker, I think the machinations of LeBron in getting his son Bronny drafted by the Lakers just did, make everyone, any NBA fan, feel a bit uneasy. I mean, it would be one thing if Bronny had a stellar year at USC and really had earned his place in the second round of the NBA draft, but the reality is that Bronny James played 6 games for USC and averaged 4.8 points a game. He didn't shoot well, and a lot of that was because they found out that he had a congenital heart condition, and he had suffered essentially a heart attack. I always thought that Bronny needed more mentorship and another year at USC to really iron out his skill set, but he was rushed to the NBA so that LeBron could have that moment of playing with his son on the Lakers, which he really wanted. And now that that moment's over and he's gotten to play with his son, he's moving on.
I think it's fair to speculate about J.J. Redick, the Lakers coach. LeBron hammered through that decision with the guy that he had become friendly with co-hosting a podcast. That was a lot of LeBron influence in very key ways. Of course, big stars are going to have a lot of influence on a team, but this was like taking that to another level. I guess in that sense, very LeBron-like.
We've never seen a player exert more control over his teams than LeBron James, I would say. I mean, when you talk about pulling levers to get your son drafted, and when you talk about getting your podcast co-host hired to be the coach of your team, I mean, these are unprecedented things that really happened. It is wild to think about. And I mean, those aren't the only quote-unquote GM moves that LeBron's, pulled during his time with the Lakers. So, there have been some pluses and minuses. And over his 8 years, yes, they won 1 title, and then they made another conference finals where they got swept by the Nuggets. But then they had plenty of first-round exits, again, one time memorably at the hands of the Nuggets. So it's been kind of a strange tenure, I would say, with the Lakers.
This is going to provide Stephen A. Smith material for days, if not weeks, if not months. Taking a little bit of a step back right now, obviously coming through a really, really fun NBA Finals season. It occurred to me that really this is an interesting moment, from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to Kevin Durant to Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. Like, we really are seeing a new generation of stars that are really well known, many of them known by their first names. And this is hardly a profound observation, but in the age of social media, people have so much more opportunity to have personalities. The fashion show that accompanies sports now, when you see the players walking into the arena like that, it really adds some fun and some pizzazz to it. I mean, players are now just spreading their wings. What do you think this has done for the NBA itself?
First, I want to talk about the Knicks. And, I think it's funny because, and look, I'm going to be accused of bias here, but I think to a degree the Knicks winning their first NBA title in 53 years broke the NBA.
Good way. In a
good way. I think everyone observed just how joyous and momentous an occasion that was. They saw 2 million people flood the streets of New York City for the parade. And I think NBA players were sitting at home and saying, I want that. I want a piece of that. I want to go win a title. And I want to participate in my own parade and be feted by millions. And so we've seen just an unprecedented amount of movement early on, and free agency hasn't even started yet. We saw Giannis Antetokounmpo go to the Miami Heat, and granted, that was a move that had been rumored about for ages, it seems. And at one point, he said that he wanted to go to the Knicks, and that was his desired destination. We saw John Morant get traded to the Portland Trailblazers, and where he'll join Dame Lillard and Denny Avdia. Who knows how that marriage is going to work? A lot of questions there about whether John Morant can reach his previous heights. And, we saw LaMelo Ball join Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. Right now, it's rumored that Kawhi Leonard will be returning to the Toronto Raptors.
Marlo, I'm impressed by the depth of your knowledge. I don't know how you're not working with any notes. You keep all that stuff in your head. Let me close by asking you, you probably anticipated this. Who is your favorite player to watch and follow? Maybe not the best player of all time or whatever, but just favorite player that you enjoy.
I've got two favorite players. And I hate to admit this as a Knicks fan, but my favorite player when I was younger was Michael Jordan. I would even watch him cook the Knicks at the Garden, and it was just a thing of beauty to watch. And I will never enjoy someone beating my team again as much as I enjoyed Michael Jordan. Just being able to witness the greatness of Michael Jordan at Madison Square Garden. But in recent years, it's got to be Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson epitomizes everything that's great about not just the league, but also New York City. This is a guy who was doubted his entire life. Always told he was too short, didn't have a good enough body, not athletic enough, was drafted in the second round, and now he's the king of New York City and an NBA champion, and frankly, a New York legend, bringing the Knicks their first title in 53 years.
I'm going to go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There has never been anyone more respected and just more erudite, and even to this day, when he opens his mouth, when he writes a column, he is the professor. Marlo, this has been a fun, probably the heaviest sports convo we've had on Daily Variety. I appreciate your knowledge and your fandom, and thank you for jumping on the LeBron story.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be on.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Gibbs is coming back. Mark Harmon couldn't stay away from the NCIS universe for too long. He'll be back on the NCIS Origin series next season for a long arc that promises to be wrapped up in a mystery from his days at Camp Pendleton in the 90s. Semper Fi. Don't miss Variety's best TV shows of the year so far list. Variety TV critics Allison Herman and Aramide Tinubu both weigh in with top 10 lists. Keep an ear out for Money Moves with Jill Schlesinger. The longtime CBS News business analyst has launched a podcast with CBS News. It's all part of the news division's effort to diversify its content mix. I love it when Nate Burleson calls her Dalla Dalla Jill in her appearances on CBS Mornings. We love to hear from our listeners, so please send thoughts, gripes, and other feedback about Daily Variety to podcasts@variety.com. Before we go, I want to send out a hearty happy birthday to my dad, Dr. C. Scott Littleton, a proud native son of Hermosa Beach. He would have been 93 today. I miss you every day, CSL. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Marlo Stern. Stick, snicks, hick, picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.